What's up, guys? It's time to review a movie that you probably haven't seen, and it's one of the best of the year, so you need to watch You Were Never Really Here. Let's do this. You Were Never Really Here stars Joaquin Phoenix and is directed by Lynn Ramsey. So what's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2018, although I think this was released limited in 2017, but I consider this a 2018 movie. If a movie came out in, say, 2017 and I have no possible way to see it whatsoever unless I go to New York or LA, then I don't really consider that that year movie. Whenever it's released nationwide, that's when I consider it. So there you go. But before I get into this, some sad news. A good friend of mine, George Hernandez, his mother or stepmother, but you know what? I think stepmothers sometimes are more of a mother than real mothers. So I don't know his relationship with his stepmother, but she is battling cancer. I just know that he's really close to her, and you know what? I'm pulling for her. So this one goes out to you, George. Now, I don't review every movie that comes out every weekend. I went and seen a couple of movies this weekend, actually. I saw 8th Grade, which was phenomenal, by the way. I'm considering reviewing that one just because it was so good. And I also saw The Spy Who Dumped Me, which was hit and miss. It started off funny and then it was just horrible. So don't look for a review for that one. But my time allows me to review this one because this one definitely needs your attention. And it's not a movie that came to my local theater, and I wanted to get the message out to you guys because it's so good. First off, quick plot synopsis. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, he plays Joe. Joe is a very dangerous human being. He is kind of a hitman, really. He's a hired gun, but his weapon of choice happens to be a hammer. And we see him at the beginning of this movie. He is teetering between life and death, literally. Really, this is the only way that he has any kind of control over anything in his life, is literally to be trying to take his own life up until a point. Now, I know that this act can actually be kind of a sexual thing for some people. Some people have actually died from it. Not the case here. He's just a very miserable person. And this movie peels back the layers along the way through flashbacks and really through present day too, to show you what type of character this is. Joe is a tormented soul, really, and Lynn Ramsey does a phenomenal job of, displaying that on the screen for the viewer. And it doesn't hurt to have Joaquin Phoenix playing the part. But throughout the first half of this movie, there comes a point where Joe has a purpose in life, because just so happens Joe is actually, he has a heart. He's a decent guy. He's not a good guy, but he's a decent guy. And when he sees a young child in danger, then all of a sudden he's got a purpose in life. And we are going to talk about some spoiler stuff after the rating for this, because there is a certain portion of the movie that I really feel like I need to discuss with you guys. But up until the rating, you're going to be fine. Now, first off, let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix, because to me, I consider Joaquin like what I call a dangerous actor. And that doesn't mean like if I walked up to him, I'd be afraid for my life or anything. No, I just think he is extremely eccentric, and I believe he is fearless when it comes to taking on a role. I believe he's one of those actors that will go anywhere to capture that end product, that end result. Much like Daniel Day-Lewis, I think he is a treasure in this day and age when it comes to actors. He really is. He is willing to physically hurt himself to capture a performance. Because so, he's one of those actors that I can't not look away from when he's giving a performance. He is just so mesmerizing. This might be one of his finest performances. I will say that. He is phenomenal in this film. The way the guy displays like grief and self-control and just really dealing with life in general. He does it on the next level of, say, what other actors would do with a performance. Because, in acting, there's 10 different ways you could try to capture an emotion. And I think he does it in a way that most can't. Now, cutting right to the chase, let me tell you what type of film this is. Now, this is kind of an artsy crime thriller. You're going to get strong Taxi Driver and even Drive vibes from this movie. But it's not for everybody. I've even seen some people say they thought it was boring. I didn't. I was just completely sucked into what was going on. And I like slow burn movies, you know. I think that this one, I thought it was perfectly structured, actually, because it spends like the first third, maybe first half of the movie, really just digging into Joe as a character. And so much so that you don't know where this movie's going to go. And also, I like that Joe as a character, as presented in the first half of this movie, you really don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. You just think he's just a really tormented person that is very dangerous, and that if he ended up doing some really horrible things by the end of this movie, you probably wouldn't be surprised. But he finds his purpose in the second half of the movie when he takes on a job for a piece of crap politician to rescue that guy's daughter. And without giving any spoilers away, this is when he finds his purpose. When he realizes that this person is in grave danger and he's really her only hope. I love movies like this, actually. Kind of reminded me of The Professional just a little bit. And also, just one little tidbit that's kind of superficial that makes him even more interesting is that his weapon of choice is a hammer. And when it comes to, I guess, say horror movies, which this isn't really a straight up horror movie, I like when killers or our main character has like a weapon of choice. And like I said, it's a hammer. And a hammer is a pretty damn dangerous weapon. I was a carpenter in the military, and I've seen firsthand what a hammer can do. And it's not fun. And I got the thumbs to prove it. Now, the little girl in this movie, Nina, played by Ekaterina Samsonov, she is mesmerizing. This young child actor, I think, has a future, because she gives a performance that is pretty haunting, actually. And she is pretty subdued throughout a good portion of the movie. And the way she tackles that role from an acting standpoint, I found really interesting, actually. And also, before I give my rating, the score in this movie is fabulous. Like, it's one of those, I was getting some strong, like, Hereditary vibes from the score in this movie. It's very artsy, like, a lot of unconventional instruments are used throughout, maybe organic, which makes it even more interesting, I think. I like when composers get a little bit experimental with their choices as far as laying a score down. And this one was very well done, actually. Guys, I love the hell out of this movie. One of the best of the year. It's in my top 5, Trapped on an Island. There you go. I'm very picky with that rating, but this one earned it. This is definitely a standout movie, a standout performance of the year. And it's one of those that you can't get out of your head, especially because of the last act. And let's get into some spoiler talk. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have been warned. So really the big thing I wanted to get into was once he gets into that hotel room to rescue Nina, because Nina's father is the biggest piece of crap ever, and he's wanting to actually like sell his daughter off to other politicians, to one of his friends. And Joe is there to save her. And that scene is really haunting because he's just standing there, and then all of a sudden the blood just like splatters all over his face. But I just loved that connection between Joe and Nina in that last act of this movie. It was beautiful, actually. You know, Nina was like his purpose. And he'd go through these like suicidal daydreams here and there. And then that very last act, when he's sitting in the diner with Nina, he puts a gun to his head and he blows his brains out. But then we realized that that was kind of his release. You know, he was letting his old self go. And so it was kind of a rebirth. And I loved it. It was a beautiful ending to a very, dare I say, depressing movie all the way up until that moment. Like, I was surprised that this actually had kind of a hopeful ending. I loved that about this film. And please give Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar nomination for this, because he was so good. This is one of his finest performances. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on You Were Never Really Here? Let me know in the comments. Please go check this movie out if you stayed for the spoilers and you haven't seen the movie. Some people do that. Also, again, Georgia's stepmother, I hope she recovers really fast. Cancer is just a real bitch. I hate it. I lost my good friend Derek Mayo to cancer last March. Yeah, it's just a horrible, horrible affliction. Also, guys, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays we do Free for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.